The water was cold, shocking, and merciless as Emma felt herself pushed into the pool. Gasps echoed across the courtyard, but no one moved to help. She struggled to catch her breath, her backpack dragging her down. The laughter of the bullies, sharp, cruel, and echoing, cut deeper than the water's chill. To the other students, she was just the quiet farm girl. The one who smelled faintly of hay, who wore second-hand clothes, and who never fought back. To them, Emma was weak, invisible, an easy target. But what no one knew, what she had never told anyone, was that beneath her silence and simplicity lived the fire of a martial arts prodigy. Emma's life wasn't easy. She woke before dawn every day to tend to her family's small farm, feeding the chickens, milking the cows, and carrying bales of hay heavier than most kids at school could lift. By the time she got to class, her hands were rough, her boots muddy, and her clothes wrinkled. Other kids had polished sneakers and shiny backpacks. Emma had calluses and worn straps. At school, she blended into the background, her head often bent over books, her voice barely above a whisper. She wasn't shy because she had nothing to say, she was quiet because the world had taught her that silence was safer. But when she was 5 years old, her father, once a martial arts instructor before turning to farming, had taught her how to move, how to defend, how to use her body as a weapon if the world ever turned cruel. Strength, he told her, isn't for hurting others. It's for standing when no one else will. She had trained in barns and fields, barefoot in the dirt, balancing on fence rails, striking hay bales until her knuckles bled. She never thought she'd use those skills in public. Not until that day at the pool. It started with whispers. A group of popular kids, led by Jessica, the sharp-tongued queen bee, mocked her behind cupped hands. Look at her boots. Did she wrestle a cow before class? They laughed, loud enough for Emma to hear. She pretended not to care. She always pretended. But ignoring them only made things worse. At lunch, they accidentally knocked her tray over. In gym class, they stole her shoes. And now, at the school's poolside event, they cornered her, their smiles dripping with malice. Hey, farm girl, Jessica sneered. Bet you don't even know how to swim. Do cows teach you that? Before Emma could walk away, 2 of the boys shoved her. She fell, arms flailing, and hit the water with a painful slap. The weight of her bag pulled her under. Panic flared. For a moment, the fear of drowning replaced every thought. Then training kicked in. She shrugged out of her bag, pushed upward with powerful kicks, and broke the surface, gasping. The bullies leaned over the edge, laughing, phones out to record. Look at her. Like a drowning rat. But Emma wasn't drowning. She climbed out, dripping, silent, but her eyes had changed. The sound of laughter cut through Emma like a blade as her body hit the water. For a moment, the world blurred, cold, heavy, and unrelenting. Her backpack dragged her down, and fear clawed at her chest. She kicked hard, breaking the surface just as mocking voices rose around her. Phones recorded, bullies pointed, and not one hand reached out to help. Emma clung to the pool's edge, her chest heaving. To them, she was the farm girl, a nobody, easy to target, easy to break. But what they didn't know was that Emma was no ordinary girl. She carried a strength forged in silence, in sweat, in years of discipline her tormentors could never understand. Life on the farm had always been demanding. Emma's days began before sunrise, her hands raw from hauling hay, her back sore from long hours of work. While her classmates woke up to warm breakfasts and rides to school, Emma trudged to the bus stop with mud on her boots and a lunch packed from leftovers. She didn't complain. She had learned long ago that complaining didn't change anything. Her father, once a martial arts instructor before life's hardships drove him to farming, had raised her on 2 rules: work hard and stay strong. And every evening, after the farm chores were done, he trained her. Balance, Emma, he'd remind her, as she balanced on narrow rails of the fence. Strength isn't about overpowering. It's about control. By 12, she could split firewood in one strike. By 14, she could outrun and outlast nearly anyone. By 16, she had the speed, reflexes, and power of a fighter far beyond her years. Yet, she never showed it at school. Not once. To her classmates, she was just the quiet farm girl. But school was never kind. Jessica, the queen bee of the social circle, had made Emma her favorite target. She mocked her boots, her clothes, even the smell of hay that clung to her. Others followed, laughing at every insult, eager to stay in Jessica's good graces. The cruelty wasn't always loud. Sometimes it was subtle, the whispers behind her back, the snickers when she raised her hand in class, the stolen belongings from her locker. Emma bore it all, never retaliating, never speaking up. She thought silence was strength. But bullies mistake silence for weakness. And so, at the poolside gathering, Jessica decided to make Emma's humiliation unforgettable. "Farm girl doesn't belong here," she taunted, as her friends circled. "Bet she can't even swim without her cows cheering her on." Then, with a shove, they pushed her in. Emma could have stayed down. She could have climbed out quietly and walked away, like she always did. But something inside her shifted that day. Maybe it was the sting of betrayal from classmates who laughed instead of helping. Maybe it was the weight of years spent being invisible. Or maybe it was the simple truth that she was done being prey. She climbed out slowly, water streaming from her clothes, her expression calm but unyielding. The courty.